The big news out of the NFL today is that the New York Giants have officially released Daniel Jones after Jones and his agent and his team requested it. The New York Giants listed Daniel Jones as QB4 behind Tommy DeVito, behind Drew Lock, and behind somebody else. And he volunteered to play scout team safety at Giants practice yesterday. And he took to the podium, delivered a thank you letter to the New York Giants organization and fan base. And it was a thank you letter, but it was more important than that. It was an interview for his next football team because he understood where his team wanted to go. He's like, yeah, I'm going to interview for my next team. I'm going to take it to the podium. I'm going to thank them as a first-class organization, even though they didn't give me any wide receiver help besides Malik Neighbors in the last several years. So he was interviewing for his next football team. And I can't help but think that the Minnesota Vikings would be a good fit for Daniel Jones. And not only would the Vikings be a good fit for Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones would be a good fit for the Minnesota Vikings for reason number one. Sign him now. Reason number one, Sam Darnold has been on and off the injury report for a majority of the season. He is on with the foot thing. He's on with the knee thing. And if he goes down for 1 to 2 weeks, I would rather have Daniel Jones as QB1 than Nick Mullins. Daniel Jones has at least showcased some ability and talent as QB1 for the New York Giants. And what better situation than to come to the Minnesota Vikings with J.J., Addison, Hawkinson, and an elite offensive-minded head coach like Kevin O'Connell. I think it makes a lot of sense for Daniel Jones. And you look at Daniel Jones's statistics throughout his career. And this year, I'll share the screen with my YouTube audience, and I'll describe it for the podcast listening audience. He has 8 touchdowns, 7 picks this year. Last year in 6 games, he had 2 touchdowns, 6 picks, not very good. In 2022, the year he beat Ed Donatell and the Minnesota Vikings defense in a playoff game, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. In 2021, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. 2020, 11 touchdowns, 10 picks. And 2019, 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. His rookie season was his best overall season in the NFL as far as touchdown to interception ratio. He did take the Giants to the playoffs in 2022, and they did win a playoff game. I look at those stats, and do you know what I see? I see Sam Darnold before he became a member of Kevin O'Connell's offense and the Minnesota Vikings organization. Let's take a look at Sam Darnold's stats because it's eerily similar to Daniel Jones. Sam Darnold, rookie season, 17 and 15. Second season, 19 touchdowns, 13 picks. Third season, 9 touchdowns, 11 picks. Fourth season, 9 touchdowns, 13 picks. Season in Carolina, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks. Went to San Fran, played 1 game, 2-1. And this year with the Vikings, he has 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Daniel Jones was Sam Darnold, or Sam Darnold was Daniel Jones before he became a member of the Minnesota Vikings. And if you're Daniel Jones, the Vikings are on your list, the Rams are on your list, the 49ers are on your list. You're happy being a backup at any one of those spots because this is the spot that you could revitalize your career. This is the area or team or organization that could bring you back and make you somewhat relevant from where you are right now. And if you're the Vikings, it's an easy answer. Nick Mullins or Daniel Jones. Of course you're going to pick Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is no long-term threat to start over J.J. McCarthy, but he's certainly a capable backup in case Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy goes down next year. I think it's an easy, obvious choice. And if Daniel Jones signs with the Minnesota Vikings, well, he could learn under one of the brightest offensive minds in football. And what's so funny about this is that I'm not the only one that thinks this makes sense. Phil Mackey of Score North tweeted out Daniel Jones's next team with odds courtesy of Bovada. It's a betting website. And here's what it says. It says Carolina Panthers at plus 170. Could not think of a worse spot for him to go to. Got Andy Dalton, Bryce Young. Not that those guys are good, but why would you want to go to a Panthers organization to try to revitalize your career? And second on the list, Minnesota Vikings at plus 300. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't the Vikings pursue Daniel Jones as backup quarterback to Sam Darnold? Third on the list, Indianapolis Colts plus 850. Pittsburgh Steelers plus 800. Denver Broncos plus 850. Chargers plus 1,000. Browns plus 1,000. Raiders plus 1,000. Titans plus 1,000. There's only one team on this list that makes sense, according to Bovada, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. Daniel Jones could step into the role as QB2, and I could guarantee you, let me just say this right now. If he does become QB2 for the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings release Nick Mullins, send him over to waivers, I guarantee you this. Opening press conference, following day one of Daniel Jones's practice, Kevin O'Connell will take to the podium and say, Daniel Jones looks sharp. Guarantee it. When Kevin O'Connell became the head coach, and I can't even think of his name right now. What was his name? Backup quarterback that Mike Zimmer hated out of Texas A&M. Gosh, I can't think of his name. What was that guy? Drafted him in like the third or fourth round. Vikings fans wanted him to play. Zimmer came to the podium and said, he's not playing because I've seen him practice. Anyway, you guys probably know the name. Kevin O'Connell came out and said that he looked sharp in practice. He was making audibles, making changes at the line of scrimmage. And then they cut him like 2 weeks later. But Daniel Jones in a Minnesota Vikings uniform makes sense for Daniel Jones. I mean, wouldn't it be hilarious to go to the team that gave him the massive contract extension? Daniel Jones owes the Minnesota Vikings millions and millions and millions of dollars because of what Ed Donatel did for Daniel Jones. And it makes sense from the Minnesota Vikings perspective. He's not too good to overshadow J.J. McCarthy next year. He's definitely not going to start over Sam Darnold either. But if Sam Darnold goes down, I would rather have Daniel Jones starting than Nick Mullins. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? You would have to be outside of your mind to think that Nick Mullins is a better option than Daniel Jones. And you look at his stats, they're comparable to Sam Darnold. Why not? Bring the guy in. Put him in the Vikings organization with a first-class, offensive-minded head coach, Kevin O'Connell, and see what happens.